Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Awards Whisperers. I'm John.
I'm Francesco. I'm sorry I sound congested, but that's just how it is.
And we are joined by a legend of the industry, our mother, our father, our fairy godmother, Erik Anderson from AwardsWatch. Erik, how are you?
I'm great. I'm basically the Demi more in the substance for this family, but like the end, like all the way at the end, slurping my way to my Hollywood star.
Yes. All right. Well, we're here to talk about the Golden Globes. We're going to talk about what we think of the nominees, but also give you our predictions for all the movie categories. We don't care about TV here.
No.
But first, let's just general thoughts about the Golden Globe surprises, trends. What do we think?
Well, something I think that is, and we'll probably have to talk about it every year for a couple of years, is obviously the huge changes that they've gone through, both in terms of their scandals, and how they have chosen to rectify that. Because BAFTA kind of went through the same thing and is still going through absolute growing pains of how to change their voting and their structure to be less, racist. That's usually kind of the beginning of all this, just like the Oscars. And the Globes, I feel, they're doing what people wanted of them and what was sort of asked of them. But, when a place has 80 plus years of history and most of it is bad, a couple of years isn't going to fix that. But, going from 90 secretive members that are very easily bribable and all live in LA, to 300 plus that live all over the world and don't have the same kind of reach that, Sharon Stone sending a watch would have. I think it gives the opportunity for them to be able to do the things that they said they were going to do, to change. So I think sometimes we see that a little bit in the last couple of years with nominations, but I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. I think that both the Globes and BAFTA are kind of failing in terms of like the restructuring that you were talking about, but I think the Globes are maybe failing a little less. Just because, they've been pretty transparent in terms of these are the changes that we're making and we've invited more people, but taken as a whole, it's still kind of like, this could have been just the 80 people that, used to vote on these like 10 years ago, and I'd be like, sure, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is moving in the right direction. I don't know how fast it's moving in the right direction, but there are signs that things are getting a little more serious for them. Like, they always seem to now have like an Alma Poisty nominee. Like there's people who you would otherwise not have ever gotten in at the Globes that are getting in. But on the same token, we still have, I think, a ways to go in terms of it actually reflecting, the quality of movies each year.
And also, accepting certain submissions as comedies that really should not be there.
Yeah, like
they're doing it for
we
that
were talking about Heretic.
Why Heretic in comedy? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Baffling.
So still some baffling things going on for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about the nominees themselves this year. Anything specifically surprising? Any notable omissions or inclusions?
For me, I was surprised at how well Emilia Perez did, but then it's doing so well, I think, kind of across the board, so it's not that surprising in hindsight. I just didn't really think that the televised awards would be kind of like so receptive, because it's a very divisive film. But it's done so incredibly well, even with the Oscar long lists. Yeah. It's hard to argue against it at this point. I'm not a huge fan of the movie, but I think I'm happy for the representation, as problematic as it might be in some instances. Yeah.
I was just going to talk about director for a bit because it's pretty great category this year, even though one of the things the Globes did, I think it was last year they added an extra slot to all the categories, so they're basically like Critics' Choice now, so there's 6 instead of 5, so kind of covers your bases a little bit for certain predictive qualities, but it's a really cool lineup, and the Globes have been ahead of the Oscars for nominating women in Best Director consistently. And so we have Payo Kapadia and Coralie Fargiat nominated here. Love that. It's really cool. And one thing that it kind of struck me as is 10 years ago, Globes, John Chu would have absolutely have been nominated here. And Wicked with 4 probably would have gone even a little further. We would have seen Jonathan Bailey and scored just more.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the Globes of yore would have gone heavier on Wicked versus some of the other movies like Emilia Perez, I think.
I predicted Bailey to get nominated, and I was wrong, but I feel like it's in terms of director, it's a good category, just despite the selection committee back in India, who literally said we're not sending All We Imagine Is Light because it's like poorly shot and poorly directed, and yeah, that felt good.
The defense after was so bad
and bizarre. Yeah, it's like, just let it go, just take the loss. Yeah.
Big L there. I'll say the 2 big snubs for me. No surprise. I mean, people have talked about this already, but Marianne Jean-Baptiste in Hard Truths and Daniel Deadweiler in The Piano Lesson, both missing, were 2 big surprises for me.
What did they have in common?
Well, if you want to add that, then you can also add Ingenue Ellis Taylor.
Yeah, Nickel Boys.
Plot thickens. Yeah.
Yeah. The Hard Truths one especially, like The Piano Lesson has kind of been MIA itself, but the Hard Truths, Marianne Jean-Baptiste did so well in the precursors.
She's probably going to win BAFTA.
She's in good position too, I think.
So, yeah.
It's kind of crazy. She won LA, she won New York. We're recording this on Friday, January 3rd. She's absolutely going to win National Society of Film Critics tomorrow. And so she'll have the trifecta. And what are the Oscars going to do with that? What's BAFTA going to do with that?
BAFTA, I think, is going to care less, and I think they'll back her, and she's fine as far as they're concerned.
I mean, the thing about the Oscars, though, is that they get very self-aware, and they'll do, Moonlight, and then The Shape of Water, and then they'll be like, wait a minute, hold up, it's Green Book time. They'll go again, and then they'll back up, and it's this sort of push and pull of what progressive means, and wanting to then also put the brakes on it. It's kind of runs parallel to just real politics.
All right, let's get into some predictions, shall we? So I'm just going to go up the list that I have, starting with original song, and then we'll just chat about each category. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All right, so the first category is Best Original Song. The nominees are Beautiful That Way from The Last Showgirl, Compress Repress from Challengers, El Mal from Emilia Perez, Forbidden Road from Better Man, Kiss the Sky from The Wild Robot, and Mi Camino from Emilia Perez. I'll just say I'm predicting Beautiful That Way from The Last Showgirl because the Golden Globe winner never gets nominated for the Oscar. And she's the biggest artist in that group.
That could be fun. I mean, it missed the Oscar shortlist for song, which was really surprising. But yeah.
The song from Better Man got disqualified.
Yes, it did.
So
that's right, it did.
Yeah, the 2 high-profile kind of nominees here are not going to be at the Oscars. So
the ones from actual pop stars.
Yeah, Yeah, which the Oscars really need to reinvent that entire category. I'm still bitter that we didn't get Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor singing Come With Me, 45 years ago. Yeah, I haven't let go of that. Yeah. I am predicting Kiss the Sky. The fact that, Beautiful That Way and Forbidden Road are no longer eligible maybe took something, I think, away from their viability.
I can totally see that, and then I can see on the other side the voters feeling emboldened by it as something that they can pick, which makes something like the Last Showgirl song winning. It makes sense. It's very, I don't know, like Cher winning for Burlesque.
Yeah, that's exactly, yes. As she should have.
She should have. Well, the remix is the one that should have won because it's better. But, yes.
I'm thinking like Madonna winning for the We song. They love to pick a big celebrity to win here.
Yeah.
Old Habits Die Hard.
She could have been Oscar nominated for that. If she had just put it in the right place in the movie. I'm still bitter about that.
Well, I don't think enough people like her. It's kind of like a Barbara situation with her.
There's a little bit of that. I think. I'm predicting El Mal from Amelia Perez.
All right.
But I think it could go a lot of ways. I have Compress Repress as the spoiler, which is a little bit of hope dicting because I want it to happen. But Kiss the Sky makes sense because Wild Robot has 3 nominations. It has the broadest appeal outside of Amelia Perez. And I mean, if we're talking about pop stars, why not have Selena Gomez win for Mi Camino and then she's up there?
I feel like Miley's the biggest star, but you're right. Selena's also nominated, so this is a way to get her on stage for Mi Camino. Yeah, you never know. Yeah. Kiss the Sky feels the most like traditional winner. Like I think it actually might win the Oscar. But we'll see. It's a weird year for song.
It is a weird year. Yeah.
I feel like every year for a long time we've had like a We Don't Talk About Bruno or like a runaway hit song from a musical or a animated movie.
Yeah.
And this year, not really. Let's move on to original score. The nominees are Conclave, The Brutalist, Wild Robot, Amelia Perez, Challengers, and Dune Part 2.
Predicting Dune.
That would be wild, considering its disqualification, but that could be one of those absolute things that Globes are just going to do what they want to do.
I'm just predicting Dune because it's Fiennes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the biggest name in the category, yeah. I'm picking The Brutalist.
Great score.
Because it has the most score.
It's a lot. Yeah. 3.5 hour movie, 3 hours score. I'm going with Challengers. There's something that feels very new Globe voter vibe. I just feel like that they'll go for it. And again, a little bit of hope dictating, a little bit.
Yeah. And Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are pretty big names too, so.
I just think it's funny that none of us are predicting Amelia Perez.
Well, it's scores for musicals get forgotten all the time.
Yeah.
Because you're not really listening to and thinking about the underscore during just dramatic narrative moments.
Yeah.
A musical is the musical number. So again, I can't think of the score of Amelia Perez. I can't really think of the score of Wicked, but songs, I know the songs.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good point.
If there is any type of Amelia Perez sweep, sure, absolutely. It could run, La La Land's record. It already has the record for nominations now.
Yeah. And that's gotta mean something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Part of me thinks that it's got to mean something, but then like taking every category by itself, I'm like, is it going to win here? Is it going to win here? I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's tough.
I maintain that it's a bit of the 10 nominations is a bit of red herring for Amelia Perez just because of its ability. Unlike past Globe years, it was able to get nominated in foreign and or international film and in comedy musical, plus having multiple songs and the Selena Gomez random nomination. So I feel like it definitely puts it in contention for some serious hardware. I don't think it necessarily is as groundbreaking or the record being broken is not as significant as some people might think. That's my opinion.
I think it is, but like to Cesco's point, it's kind of just it's pushed the limit everywhere that it's been,
except in precursors.
Yeah,
That's the thing. It was the actual critics awards.
Yeah, no, it's not doing anything there other than Zoe Saldana, who is her and Ariana Grande are neck and neck with supporting actress wins. Yeah,
Saldana's been the one consistent element.
Yeah, and that was kind of, again, like since way in the beginning, it was pretty easy to single her out as a lead in supporting.
Mm-hmm. She's the lead in the movie. Yeah.
I mean, I think you also have to consider too, like, is getting 10 nominations where there's 6 nominees as big a feat as getting 9 nominations when there was only 5 nominees, in each category. So I'm not saying it's not substantial and it's not very impressive, and it definitely puts Emilia Perez like in the thick of things, but I'm cautious as if it is a surefire tell that it's going to dominate when it comes to wins.
When it's, maybe, but when you combine it with 10 Critics' Choice nominations and 15 BAFTA long lists hitting that record too, it just becomes like unavoidable. But wins, where are exactly the wins? But what if that happens? What if Emilia Perez goes bonkers at the Globes and Audiard wins director, and it just goes?
Is he going to win the GA? I don't know.
I don't think it's going to do well at SAG, is my personal prediction. But
I think we'll go into that later.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, audience scores have been low, and when you deal with the SAG, it's a huge body of people who are not film critics, who are not film experts. They're just actors.
Well, I mean, the nom committee is 2,500 random people out of 150,000.
Yeah, so how much of them saw and connected with Emilia Perez? We'll see.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the Globe predictions, or keep going with the Globe predictions. Best screenplay, we have Emilia Perez, Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, The Substance, and Conclave.
This should be a pretty easy win for Anora.
I'm thinking the same.
I'm predicting The Substance.
Oh my gosh.
Coralie Epsler.
Because there's a lot of traction behind this film, and I think out of all the places where it's nominated, this is the most likely to happen.
It's definitely a movie that has surpassed expectations.
It really has.
In a way that not even a Cannes, not even that screenplay win there was people were like, oh, okay, that's nice. Yeah, I think it's definitely a movie that has been able to sidestep expectations and genre, and I love it. I'm glad. I want more of that.
I think it's kind of like gone to establish itself as like a top 5 contender probably for Best Picture, where Farsha is probably going to get into director, where Demi Moore is probably going to get nominated. Same for Margaret Qualley. It's just overperformed across the board. I think we were talking about like the fact that it was going to always be strong in terms of like below the line technical nods because it's, very well made and all of that. But I think what's surprising is just how much people kind of responded to it in terms of the direction, the performances, the story. It's not your usual awards contender.
Yeah, and as, is almost every year, there's only a handful of women directors that get any type of attention that their male counterparts do in award season, but she is so far ahead of anyone and everyone else. And, as we see and know from history, most of the time, since it only happened one other time, voters need to coalesce around a single woman
Yeah.
to support. And that's that.
That's her. Yeah. This year, that's her. So, yeah.
That'd be cool. I'd love that win here.
Yeah, I would think it's really cool too. And I really also love the Substance's surprise overperformance. Like I knew it would pop up here and there. Like I knew Demi would probably show up, a couple places, but the fact that she's shown up literally everywhere is pretty fantastic. Speaking of Coralie F. Word, let's go to Best Director. We have Jacques Audiard, I'm not saying that right, for Amelia Perez, Sean Baker for Anora, Edward Berger for Conclave, Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, Coralie Fargier for The Substance, and Payal Kapadia for All We Imagine as Light. I'm going to say Corbett.
I agree it's Corbett.
Yeah, I think it's Corbett kind of easily, but I do have Audiard as the spoiler, like a real spoiler.
Yeah. It just feels like The Brutalist in general really feels like a directorial achievement. Just in terms of length and in terms of like the manpower involved, and it's just a very clear directorial effort. Yeah. So, yeah.
The amazing expansiveness of it and only being a $10 million movie. It feels like an $80 million movie, So I think that, definitely helps him.
Well, if it had been shot in Philadelphia, it would have been an $80 million movie.
They shot it Hungry, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's an element of this as a directorial effort that I'm so curious. Obviously, it's going to do really well all season because it has done really well. But are directors and producers looking, and even actors looking at this as, well, he could not make this movie here for, nobody would give him the money. Mm-hmm. So he had to go to Hungary where the working conditions were not up to par of what they would be here. And in almost every way below the line. So is that the answer for a director? Corbett feels like such a runaway winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like the movie that a lot of the voters would want to make themselves, like the type of movie that they always hope they can make.
Mm-hmm.
Grand and sweeping and saying something, capital S, capital S. But yeah, I think Amelia Perez could definitely, Jacques Audiard could definitely be I wouldn't say definitely, but is a possible spoiler.
Sean Baker too, I think, depending on how well Anora ends up doing.
Before we get to the actors, where's that crappy category? Oh yeah, cinematic and box office
achievement.
Cinematic and box office achievement. We have Alien Romulus, Beetlejuice, Deadpool and Wolverine, Gladiator 2, Inside Out 2, Twisters, Wicked, and The Wild Robot.
This is not a real category. This is not. It's going to be Wicked, but this does not exist.
Yeah, it's 100% Wicked.
Yeah. Everything that we were talking about at the beginning about the Globes and splitting from HFPA and becoming its own thing and wanting to do better. And then they go and create this category last year, which is the echoes of the horrible popular film category that the Academy floated 4 or 5 years ago. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. And it's like, you always know who's going to win because you just look at the box office. And also, who cares?
Also, you don't deserve an award for making money.
You already won. You won the money.
Yeah.
This is literally the Mad Men. That's what the money is for. It's going to be Wicked.
Oh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And the fact that they have 10 or how many? 8 nominees here too. Like,
what even is that? Where does that number even come from? It's just ridiculous.
How is Dune not in here?
Right.
Also, like, we'll just
didn't submit.
Oh, okay.
Because you have to actually submit.
I respect them for that.
Yep.
All right. Let's go to a more interesting category, I guess. Best animated picture. So we have Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Moana 2, The Wild Robot, and Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul.
I mean, this is only between 2 films. Like, the whole season it is going to be.
But I'm going to go with Flo.
I've gone with Wild Robot.
Yeah.
Even with, last year, Boy and the Heron being able to best Spider-Man here, and it just sort of felt like, oh, okay, that can happen.
I just think that for a movie from Latvia to come out and do so well and establish itself as such a huge contender in 2 categories, that people are clearly loving it. And it's about a cat, and I mean, who doesn't fucking love that? I think it is between 2 movies, but my sense is that Flo is slightly stronger.
I'm leaning the Wild Robot, just because it also has shown up in other categories. Remind me, Eric, are animated films eligible at the Globes for international?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the fact that it didn't show up in international.
Oh, you mean Flo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they opened up the kind of the floodgates there to allow, animated films back into, comedy or drama and international films as well, and just being able to be nominated elsewhere. There's a realistic scenario where the Wild Robot wins all 3 of its nominations here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I would say it's more likely than it losing all 3.
Yeah.
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 I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to see something like Flo win. I'm always a big fan of underdogs. Undercats, thank you. I don't know why my gut is just saying the Wild Robot, so that's what I'm picking.
It's the logical pick. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it too. I'll love it if it happens, though, if it's Flo. It's
as long as it's not Moana.
Yeah.
Which, come on.
Yeah,
rough.
I've heard not great things.
No.
It's awful.
Yeah.
But let's move on to Best Motion Picture Non-English Language. We have All We Imagine as Light, Emilia Perez, Girl with the Needle, I'm Still Here, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, and Vermiglio.
My brain says Emilia Perez. I do think that All We Imagine as Light does have a shot just based on the director nomination.
I'm picking Emilia Perez here, but I agree with your logic there.
I would say All We Imagine is Light is stronger, and that would be my spoiler. But I think something that's really great and fun to point out is that every one of these nominees are female-led films.
Oh, yes. Right.
All of them.
I didn't even realize that. You're right.
That is correct.
English language could never.
Yep. Yep.
It's actually really impressive.
I did not pick up on that. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's wild.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty great. But it's one of those things where it's like you celebrate something because it's great, and then you're like, that's also so fucked up.
As obviously we're predicting undirected by a guy to win. But yeah.
Well, that too, yes.
Yeah.
That too.
All right, I think we can now finally get into the acting categories. So let's go to Best Supporting Actor. We have My Husband, Yura Borisov, and Anora. We have Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain, Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce, The Brutalist, Jeremy Strong, The Apprentice, and Denzel Washington for Gladiator 2. I am picking Culkin.
As much as I would love for My Husband, Yura Borisov, to win, I am married also to this idea that Guy Pearce is going to start winning the televised awards and predicting him. But it's between, I think, him and Culkin.
I think Pearce is very close second.
Yeah.
Very strange that you would talk about My Husband, Yura Borisov, the way that you're talking about. It's kind of offensive, and I'm ready to leave this podcast immediately. This is funky. Culkin is kind of the runaway here so far, but he did also miss at Gotham to someone that's not even nominated here. So if he wins here, I think most predictors are choosing him to be like the Oscar winner.
Yeah.
But they could do a lot of things here. They have before. They've gone a little funky. Cody Smith-McPhee winning, and then winning nothing, and losing the rest of the season to Troy Kotzer. Things happen. And if it was that, even though what I have on the official record is Culkin winning and Denzel Washington as the runner-up, I'm not really sure that Washington really is. It might be something a little stranger. It might be Guy Pearce. It might be Yura.
I would not be mad. I would not be mad about that.
God. Not one bit.
Kieran Culkin in Real Pain is real interesting to me because if you look at the Best Supporting Actor category in general, it's very rare for a performance in a film that's not really competitive anywhere else to be in the front. The last time that really happened was Christopher Plummer for Beginners, and he also had legend status. He was Christopher Plummer. So I know Kieran is really well respected, but A Real Pain has not really done much outside of him.
Screenplay, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Got an outside track for picture, I think, but
further outside than I thought it was going to be until recently.
Very often the best, not just with an age thing, 'cause I know I always harp about the age thing, because he is 42, 43, whatever, but he's still pretty young compared to the other Pierce and Washington, and Edward Norton. But even beyond that, the supporting actor often goes hand in hand with a Best Picture competitor, or they're in a movie that's a big, like, 3 Billboards in Ebbing, Missouri, or
that's why Pierce is going to start winning these.
Judas and the Black Messiah, other films that are competitive elsewhere, So, so
I would love Guy Pearce to win here. He's incredible.
He fits exactly this narrative that you were describing. That's kind of like the reason why I'm predicting him, is that consistently we've seen over the years that this category is very deeply connected to Best Picture, kind of like with editing. And if I have to think of someone who is in a likely Best Picture contender out of these, it's him. It's him.
Yeah. It's Guy Pearce,
Yeah.
But not necessarily trends can't be broken.
Or Yura. Oh my God.
You're a winner, Yura.
I don't know what the optics are in terms of like awarding a Russian performer at this point in time. But it is.
I don't think it matters if they're hot, though.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. I think all of that goes out the window.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to perfect in every way. Yeah. But he's so good and by far better than anybody else that,
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah. He's the youngest of this whole group, too.
Yeah. So Kieran absolutely could still walk away with it. He would. Yeah. He is and will, if he continues to win, be breaking a lot of patterns. Which not to say they can't be broken, but it's just an interesting thing to look at.
He will be, if he does win, it will be the first of his many incredibly insufferable speeches, though. He is horrible when he wins things. He's just, ugh.
He's a real pain? Is that what you're trying to say?
I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you did.
He's also kind of like a hot property right now. Like, he's won a bunch of stuff recently for, TV stuff, but he's accepted many of these, like, as of late. So,
it's happening at the right time for him, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's move on to supporting actress. we have Selena Gomez and Amelia Perez, Ariana Grande Butera for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Margaret Qualley for The Substance, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez.
Are we all predicting Grande?
I'm predicting Saldana.
Oh
my.
Okay. I'm predicting Grande, but
very competitive between those two.
It's very, and also I have kind of a gut feeling about Rossellini.
That would be wild.
That she's a little stronger than what we're thinking. I feel like out of this lineup, she's really the only one that's close to like a legend status in terms of a narrative that could be ascribed to her win. Also, I think there's something to be said about the fact that in this group, I think in particular, like not really considering Selena Gomez, who isn't really nominated because I refuse to, that's the only supporting performance in this lineup.
Yeah.
I think we've seen this category, especially this year, kind of like turning into like best leading performance by an actress in a supporting role. That's kind of like what it's turned into. And there's just something to be said about like a legend that shows up in a very high profile film and does her thing.
She made copies, she curtsied, and she left.
But what a curtsy.
Yeah.
What a curtsy.
Yeah. She's got one of the moments in the movie.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I've seen it twice.
Me too.
With audiences, and people lose their fucking minds at that moment.
So great.
Yeah.
Like it's a concert.
Yeah.
They need to show it at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Just the curtsy.
Yes.
I'm picking Saldana, and my thinking is twofold. One, if Saldana does not win here, it's likely that all of the winners will be white. And I don't think that they, in this day and age, will do that. But beyond that, I just can't envision people voting for Ariana Grande and not voting for Cynthia Erivo. To me,
maybe they will.
I just don't see that they would go out of their way to reward Ariana Grande and not Cynthia Erivo. I think because they're not voting for Cynthia Erivo, they won't also vote for Ariana Grande. That's my logic. Just because Elphaba is the role of the movie. Ariana Grande does a good job, but it's really all about Elphaba, and so to not reward that, but then reward Ariana Grande feels odd to me.
They're pretty much tied in terms of screen time, though. Like
very close.
Erivo is ahead, but like by a handful of minutes. I also feel like in terms of how the movie's been received, which is great, kind of like great across the board, that she's the one that's been singled out in terms of like performances. I think she is the one that has surprised people the most.
I think it is really neck and neck between them, with everything so far. Critics-wise, they are tied. They are right there with each other, and each make perfect sense. Saldana makes perfect sense because Amelia Perez has 10 nominations.
Yeah,
it's going to win at least 2 or 3. But even if it only won 1, I think this is the one that it would be.
That's my other thought is
over foreign film.
They're not going to. I don't think Amelia Perez is going to be competitive in a lot of the categories. Mm-hmm. And this is one where it absolutely is. So I think votes may get funneled here for that reason.
I think so. I think
you might go down and be like, well, I haven't voted for Amelia Perez yet. I'll vote for Zoe Saldana.
But
that's my thought.
Then you look at Margaret Qualley, who also is just right behind both of those two.
And
they have 7 wins. She has 6 critics wins. More than Demi Moore, who only has like 2.
Yeah.
Which is almost like too perfect for the movie. That the younger star is actually overshadowing the older one. That it's almost too perfect.
Yeah.
So there could absolutely, I don't know if she was, but she feels like she was probably like a Miss Golden Globe, like back in the day. Maybe not, but she feels like she probably could have been when they used to do that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, Globes, Qualley would have been a pretty hardcore competitive, but at worst, she's third for me right now. Here.
Yeah.
What if Felicity Jones wins?
Shut your mouth.
We need to talk off the air about her because I need some intel.
Yeah, I can't say things
because I know of I know that she's got a certain reputation, but I need to know more about that. Yeah,
we're delivering insufferable,
and one of us has stories about it. So,
ooh, we'll put a pin in that. Sorry, Felicity. Yeah. You did great. We love you. Let's go to everyone's favorite category, the true nail biter. She did many things. Let's go to the category that everyone is tuning in for. This is the most competitive category of the entire night, probably the entire season. I'm talking, of course, about actor in a musical or comedy. We have Jesse Eisenberg, A Real Pain, Hugh Grant, Heretic, Gabriella Bell, Saturday Night, Jesse Plemons, Kinds of Kindness, Glenn Powell, Hitman, and Sebastian Stan, A Different Man. I'm picking Grant just because he's the only one who's been showing up significantly in Critics Awards, but he's not in a comedy, so that is a strike against him.
I think the most notable thing about this category is that two of the nominees are named Jesse. That's all I have to say about it. That's the only thing that really stuck out to me. I don't care. I don't understand why Hugh Grant is nominated here for a horror movie that's as bleak as anything. I'm predicting Stan just because I have a gut feeling, but I really have no opinion here.
I went with Glenn Powell, even though it feels really unlikely now, because I do think that Sebastian Stan and Hugh Grant have actual momentum.
Yeah.
And either of them makes a little bit more sense. And obviously Sebastian Stan has 2 lead nominations here.
Yeah.
There is some goodwill, I think, behind him after the reveal that nobody wanted to do the variety actors on actors with him, because he played Trump. And they didn't want to navigate that conversation.
Yeah.
So I think there could be some goodwill to him in that way that would feed itself here versus in drama.
All right, let's move on to motion picture, musical or comedy, performance by an actress. I don't know why I said that so out of order. Mm-hmm. Actress in a musical or comedy. We have Amy Adams, Night Bitch, Cynthia Erivo, Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon for Amelia Perez, Mikey Madison for Anora, Demi Moore, The Substance, and Zendaya for Challengers. First of all, welcome back, Amy Adams. Good for you.
This movie, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think we can eliminate Adams and Zendaya right now.
Yes.
Correct.
But I think the other 4 are incredibly competitive.
Yep.
I'm going with Madison, Mikey Madison for Nora.
Me too, but then part of me thinks that it's the Globes and Demi Moore is nominated, and what a moment it would be to just get her up on that stage.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the more it actually kind of parallels a little bit Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler, like this comeback, and this really like grueling body horror type movie, because The Wrestler had, a lot of gruesome stuff in it too. And yeah, like I could definitely see them going that route. They picked Sylvester Stallone for Creed for supporting actors, so like they definitely will sometimes tip it to the legend.
They like movie stars.
Mm-hmm.
And also, she builds a freaking secret chamber in her bathroom. Like, if that's not awards worthy, what is?
Well, technically, Margaret Qualley builds it.
Oh, good point.
Good point.
But there is no she. They are one.
They are one. Yeah.
I am going with Madison. I think Moore is right there, but Erivo and Gascon also make sense. Everybody, I won't be surprised if it's any of those 4.
Same.
But, yeah.
When did voting close for this, Eric? Remind me?
It ended on the 1st, on New Year's Day.
Oh, okay. Okay. Then, yeah, my thought was if it ended a little bit earlier than that Cynthia Erivo could be a strong possibility just because of the momentum of Wicked. But since I think the Wicked wave crested a little bit in early December, so.
Well, and that's what the Cinematic Box Office Achievement Award is for.
Yeah,
so
that's why. Yeah,
she still definitely could. I think she still definitely could win, but since the voting went late, I think a little bit of the momentum was tempered.
Yeah, but all four of them. Yeah.
But any four of them. Yeah,
all four make sense. Madison is like anointing a new star. And Moore is anointing a legend that's never been recognized before. So both of them make perfect sense, which is why they're running neck and neck.
Yeah,
kind of the whole season.
Yeah.
Again, another ridiculous parallel to the movie itself.
Yeah, I was thinking and I was thinking it depends on like who you're thinking is going to win Actress of the Oscars at this point in time, and I think Madison is right up there.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make sense that it starts here.
It's definitely one of the most interesting categories of the night.
Yeah. I
mean, aside from actor in a comedy or musical, that's by far the most fascinating. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Let's go to performance by an actor in a drama. We have Adrian Brody, The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet, A Complete Unknown, Daniel Craig, Queer, Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. I'm going Brody.
I'm also going Brody, but I think Chalamet is stronger than what I was thinking last month. Yeah. And I think the movie is also stronger than what I was sort of thinking when I first saw the trailer. And I probably should have known because, again, it's a biopic about a very well-known and beloved singer, celebrity, artist. I still think that there's a little more cred behind Brody, and The Brutalist feels just as important. And also thinking in terms of who's likely to win the Oscar, I would say at this point I'm a little more confident in Brody compared to Chalamet, but I think last time we recorded, we were saying it's really a two-horse race between Ralph Fiennes and Brody, and now it's no longer, I think, a two-horse race. And I think Chalamet is very well, in the conversation. Yeah,
I would say he's third for me. The fact that neither of the women in A Complete Unknown showed up in supporting actress, so Elle Fanning and Monica Barbaro didn't show up, and it didn't show up in director or screenplay, makes me think the film itself is not as strong as Conclave or Brutalist.
Yeah.
It's definitely having its moment now, I think, compared to when the nominations came out. But to me, Brody seems really a strong frontrunner, and I think they'll continue the trend here.
Yeah. There's something totally crazy about thinking of the four acting winners being Chalamet, Madison, Grande, and Culkin. And that's like inviting the kids' table to the adult show. When you look at it as all of them, even with Culkin being 42, that is way too young for everybody here. Everyone else is either under 30 or right at 30. And I think about that at the Oscars too. Because if you're predicting Mikey Madison and Timothy Chalamet to win the lead and they're both under 30, good luck with that.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's at some point it's bound to happen. I just don't think this is the year.
Maybe.
But it's it's one of like streaks and records and that stuff. At some point we kind of see stuff happen that breaks a long running streak or something like that. I just don't think this is the year. And also, Brody is young, but he's also already an Oscar winner. So there's, I think, something to be said about how established some of them are outside of just their age. Grande is one of the world's biggest pop stars. And she's really young, but she's got a career behind her already.
And I mean, when Brody won, he was, competing against two Oscar-winning legends, and that was the whole conversation. Yeah. And it's sort of how he was able to surprise. And it's different now. Now he is the seasoned veteran.
And this kind of feels like the Pianist 2, like part 2, in a way. It's like he literally won for playing a tortured artist, struggling artist. So it's something that we know he can do well.
And this is essentially a biopic. It's just not of a real person.
Yeah.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, if the irony of Timothée Chalamet winning over Adrien Brody, Timothée Chalamet would break Adrien Brody's record for youngest winner Best Actor.
Like by days.
By days.
Yeah, by a handful of days.
Which is fascinating. I will say, no one asked, but I will say I'm predicting Ray Fiennes to win the BAFTA. Whatever that means to you. So.
Yes. I think that makes perfect sense. And he's still very much in the conversation. He has I think a narrative that's very close to like what Demi Moore has. There's definitely a narrative behind, Fiennes in terms of, a veteran who's been, doing really great work, kind of like across his entire career, finally gets a really good showcase, as a leading role for like a movie that's also, I think, in contention for Best Picture. And it would totally make sense to just say, he deserves it.
It's a really interesting category now.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that it's more of a 3-person race now.
Yeah.
Let's move on to actress in a drama. We have Pamela Anderson, The Last Showgirl, Angelina Jolie, Maria, Nicole Kidman for Baby Girl, Tilda Swinton for The Room Next Door, Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here, and Kate Winslet for The Reader to Here's Looking at You, Kid. The Reader to Lights, Camera, Action. The Reader to I'm a photojournalist now.
Like officially, Kate Winslet can get nominated for movies that don't exist. Yeah, because
mess.
Even though there's the snafu with BAFTA, I'm still picking Angelina Jolie for Maria for this.
Yeah, the BAFTA, I think, omission. I think it can be explained just in terms of like it wasn't eligible, right?
So I thought so, but no, it was.
Okay.
It was just brutally blanked across the board.
Okay, so that's a little different because this morning I was like, okay, it wasn't eligible.
I thought so too, but no, it was.
Okay. Yeah, I am not predicting her to win. I think I would have predicted her to win maybe last month. I think that I'm going to go with someone the Globes love and have awarded recently, and that's Nicole Kidman.
And it's been a box office success.
Yeah.
It's doing so well.
Yeah, I'm going to actually change Nicole Kidman in light of that new news. I thought Maria wasn't eligible for the BAFTAs, but the fact that she got blanked.
Here's the thing, though, as we were just talking about.
Kristen Stewart did too.
Voting ended for the Globes on the 1st, before the long lists. No impact in terms of, like, them thinking that picking
That's
Jolie would make, would be weird, because, of course, she's going to get into BAFTA.
All right, then I'm going back to Angelina Jolie.
No, but I think it's more in terms of like maybe this performance is not as widely embraced as we thought.
Mm-hmm.
Kidman
hasn't been as much either.
But she won Venice, and then she won NBR. And I think the stat that I pulled up was that it's happened, I think 3 other times.
Yeah. 2
of those times, the person in question won. The 3rd time, the person in question lost to Nicole Kidman.
Exactly. It's a beautiful stat that she gets to own. It's a very compelling
won. This is her first NBR win, too. She's never won NBR before.
Yeah. It is, I think, a compelling stat, and I think hand in hand with the fact that she is an incredibly well-respected legend, and that she won recently for a movie that I think someone else would not have won for. Yeah.
What gives me pause is the fact that the movie's been nowhere else in any other category. I feel like the last time that she was nominated for she was the only nominee was Rabbit Hole. That might be the only time she's ever been the only nominee. Not to say she can't do it, but that gives me pause, especially how competitive the actual category, not this category specifically at the Globes, because the drama is different, but when we get to Oscar, the category is incredibly
because as horrible as Being the Ricardos was, it wasn't just her, it was J.K. Simmons and Javier Bardem as well. So she wasn't flying solo there.
Yeah.
But this is also like a legend versus legend thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I look at scenarios of maybe how voter brains work, or maybe they don't at all like this. But are you going to vote Demi Moore and Angelina Jolie, who both sort of exist in this comeback status? I don't know. I don't know.
Kate Winslet's going to win.
Hate Winslet. Oops. Did I say that?
I also don't think the Maria is particularly stronger than Baby Girl, though. Just in terms of
potentially.
Potential. I mean, it is. Yeah. I think in terms of like some of the text, but it's not like it's outperformed like Baby Girl. Yeah.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy to me that Helena Rain has not made a mark in director lineups or screenplay lineups.
Like none of these actresses are in. Well, ostensibly, I think as of now, in Best Picture contenders. They're all in comedy. So it's kind of, I think, I would say unusual for this category, which makes it harder to predict. And I think it's probably fair to say is between Jolie and Kidman.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Kind of depends what narrative you decide to kind of espouse at that point. Yeah.
But then you look at the craziness that only Pamela Anderson and Fernanda Torres have their films nominated somewhere else.
Yeah.
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 That's bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really odd year for this category.
Yeah.
Can we just say that we are really lucky to have dodged the Jamie Lee Curtis bullet here?
Well, but
BAFTA.
I think it's happening elsewhere. Yeah.
All right. I'll put a pin in that. I'm at my time limit, so let's just quickly go through comedy and drama. So musical or comedy, it was Anora, Challengers, Amelia Perez, A Real Pain, The Substance, and Wicked. I'm going with Anora.
I'm going with Anora.
But I don't think it's as out front as I thought at the time of the nominations.
Yeah, there's, I think, 4 movies here that could all win. Kind of like we were saying for, like, this category for, like, Best Actress. And I'd be, like, sure, that makes sense.
I think the split is clear between the top 2, which I think are Anora and Amelia Perez, and then the next 2, which would be The Substance and Wicked.
Yes. Correct.
Great.
I think Wicked also gets that weird, like, box office kind of cinematic achievement.
It's Barbie. This is Barbie.
Yeah, in terms of like, okay, well, you know, it's got something. It's walking away with something. I think Anora is probably, out of all of these, the movie with the strongest resume.
Yeah, by far. Yeah. And the most, like, Best Picture wins leading up to right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's,
because we have to remember, the Globes are journalists. They are industry, but they're 100% journalists with a few scattered industry people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's basically a critics group.
So we're all predicting Nora?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then motion picture drama, we have The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nickel Boys, and the clear winner, September 5th.
Don't joke about that, because
I'm predicting Conclave, and I'll explain why, but I'll let you guys talk first.
Okay, I'm predicting Brutalist. Just because at this point, at this time, I should say, I feel like it's going to win Best Picture at the Oscars. But I would not be surprised if it is Conclave, and I would not be mad if it is Conclave.
Predicting Brutalist, but Conclave is my runner-up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a real neck and neck. I'm picking Conclave and I know this might be a dumb reason, but just the running length. I feel like more of the voters have seen Conclave than The Brutalist. But
I think that this category kind of like follows the dynamics that we kind of outlined for actor drama, essentially. In terms of like, there's probably 3 options, and I think at this point in time, The Brutalist and Conclave are a little ahead.
And also there's not really many other places for Conclave to win.
Yeah.
So I feel like people might say, well, I voted for The Brutalist for a lot of things. I haven't voted for Conclave. I'll give Conclave my vote here. I mean,
unless Rossellini wins.
Rossellini!
I mean, it can happen.
I could totally be making that like logic up in my head, but it makes some sense to me of like for Conclave being so competitive and such a strong film to not win it elsewhere. It might entice them to give it the one. And then let's talk about stand-up. Best stand-up? No, I'm kidding. We're done. We did it. Oh my gosh. Well, we will be tuning in on Sunday to see the winners. We'll have thoughts afterwards, I'm sure. Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
this is a delight and a pleasure. And I'm just really excited for the results because it could change everything or nothing. You never know.
Yeah. But it's a good first speech moment, and that can sometimes set a path.
Yeah, hopefully.
And I just want to say, come on, our collective husband, you can do it.
You know what I need is a Jacqueline Bisset speech. We haven't had one of those in a while.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Let the alcohol flow.
Yeah. Come on, Demi. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
we'll see you next time.
Bye.